We have Midland, Texas. Interesting story on the news today. KCBD out of Lubbock investigates Lubbock County medical examiner not allowed to testify in death cases. And this was just reported by a reporter, Shaylee Sanders. I contacted her with some information, and I made I shared it on my Facebook. Here it is, and I'm going to show you here, basically, as I did the other day, each one of these paragraphs I backed up with evidence. And so instead of me rereading the whole thing twice, then I'm just going to go jump down to where all the screenshots and the evidence is. But basically, the top says the medical examiner's case records show that the previous owner of my home, Michael Don Lawhon, died in Fort Worth at his late mom's house, Susan Tennis. His address was reported as this home in Midland, which he had just listed for sale a few weeks earlier. I was house shopping at the time. The time of death was 5:30 a.m. October 12, 2008. The prosecutor and medical examiner, Dr. Marc Krouse, name was listed. The cause of death was a rare acute propoxyphene intoxication or Darvon Overdose. Manner of death was accident. Okay, and I'm going to go into each one of these. Former neighbor told me twice that Mike Lawhon had died in my home here at 3802 Fair Circle. And one time she emphasized this with, I should know, right? I should know, right? Okay, so I'm going to just start at the top because I'm going to try to keep this short. Okay, acute propoxyphene hydrochloride intoxication. I went into the Google, and to the Journal of American Medicine. I found an article that poisoning due to accidental or intentional ingestion of large quantities of propoxyphene hydrochloride Darvon was rare. It's a rare poisoning. Okay, so Mike Lawhon, the previous homeowner of my home, died of a rare poisoning. That's basically I wanted to just say that. You went on the internet, you can find it yourself. Okay, and there's a link there. The medical examiner's case records show that Michael Don Lawhon, the previous owner of my home at 3802 Fair Circle, died in Fort Worth at his late mom's house. Susan Tennis' address was reported at this home in Midland, which he had just listed for sale a few weeks earlier. That's important. The time of death was 5:30. The prosecutor was Marc Krouse. I've read that already before. And the cause of death was Darvon Overdose. Okay, so you can go Google this. That's what I did. I went and found it. It's the Tarrant County. I'm in Midland County, of course. There's his name, Mike Lawhon, date of birth, okay, age, date of death, October 12, 2008, okay. The deceased address was here in Midland, okay, and the occurred location was listed as Fort Worth. Okay, that was his mom's house, okay, his late mom's house. And there's cause of death, which is the Darvon, which I showed you. It shows accident. Here's the doctor, Dr. Marc Krouse, time of death, okay. And so that is the record, okay. But what's interesting is I've got multiple people saying that Mike died here in Midland, okay. This guy, Robert Lee, and I think he said he was owner of the Harley-Davidson dealership right here. He said, did the real estate person not mention someone died or was killed in that house, And he was only one person that had said that, And then another guy here, Aaron Packelhofer, he asked me, he says, but if I can ask, there were 4 people who were murdered, died in your house. What are their names? Well, I didn't know their names, but obviously one of them was Mike Lawhon. And as I said, the previous former neighbor that lived across the street, Marilyn Dlugi, told me twice that Mike had died in this house. And one time she says, I should know, right? Okay. Well, you go online and you do the research, and you can Google this yourself. The Odessa American, it's the newspaper over in Odessa, okay? I found a death notice for Mike Lawhon, and it's posted on the 14th. He died on the 12th. It said he died in Fort Worth, okay? And so I found that, but then it got confusing because there was a second death notice, and it's posted on the 18th. It's right here. Okay, October 18th. So they posted the first death notice on October 14th and said he died in Fort Worth. and then they changed it 4 days later and said that he died at his residence. Now, we know that computers don't auto-change, so somebody had to go in there and actually change the death notice for Mike Lawhon from Fort Worth to Midland and repost it. And why did they do that? Well, obviously they did that because Mike did die in Midland, but his death certificate from the medical examiner says he died in Fort Worth. Do y'all see the issue and the problem here? Okay, so because if this happened to Mike, it probably happened to lots of other people. Okay. I took pictures of this home on my first day to look at it with my realtor, and I happened to get a picture of the back door on October 1st, 2008. I remember Mike didn't die until 12 days later. On October 28th, the home inspector and I found a hole where the back doorknob was located at, and it's noted on the home inspector's report. This proved that a brute force home invasion happened during this month, and Mike Lawhon died on the 12th. Okay, I'm going to show you that. Okay, so I took these pictures with my realtor. There's Janine Pruitt, and the back door's fine. Okay, but 28 days later, when I was going to buy the house, and I was here with Perkins Brazier, the home inspector, there was a big old hole that the doorknob was gone. Somebody kicked in it. Brute force entered this home during that month of October 2008, and during that month is when Mike Lawhon died. And as you already seen, he died in 2 different places. I have a feeling that door was kicked in by his killers that chased him down and injected him with a lethal dose of that Darvon. That's my guess. Okay. In January 2012, I reported a suspected tunnel to the El Paso DEA and then the Midland DEA. They didn't look, and 2 weeks later, my phone lines were cut, and I was ambushed and shot by somebody under my home. I crawled out on my hands and knees to save my life. Okay, now that I made them phone calls from 432-209-6494, and I give you the number so you can do the fact checking, okay? Or you can check with the DEA, and I promise you they didn't come here and look. And 2 weeks later, I'm shot. And my story here, I've written about it many times. Here's a recent one on my Facebook or on my YouTube under Buddy Webb. It's called Missing Secret Police. It has lots of evidence about my story, okay? Basically, the evidence is clear. Somebody under my home shoots me 2 weeks after I report a suspected tunnel to the DEA twice, right? So obviously somebody at the DEA is taking calls, people that report crime, and then they're getting set up to get murdered. That's what it looks like to me, right? And fact check it. And that's why I gave you the number. So there's a history, my history, okay? So since then, I've documented multiple people telling me the $1 million underground facility in tunnels near this home. Rhonda Denman Rogers was documented saying this underground facility was a half block away. Another woman was sickly recorded on a phone call saying there were 4 3-bedroom homes that were 25 foot deep. A previous resident of this home, Ricky Ronaldo, told me that him and his brother used to go in the tunnels under this home when he lived here. And that's only a few of them, okay? But here's Ricky right here. I used to live in that house years ago, and I'm like, oh, really? Yeah, when I was a kid, there were tunnels under the house. Me and my brother would always go down there. Okay, and this is only one of many people that are saying Tunnels Underground facility is here, and there's a link to on my YouTube channel to $1 million underground facilities right there. You can look that up. Okay, this rape and murder video, interestingly, the 2008 oil show started the week after Mike Lawhon died, which I believe is significant because I have reason to believe the underground facility was being used to host the famous oil show prostitution parties. My friend told me about a young girl that was murdered at one of these parties in 2010 after she refused to prostitute. Okay, these parties down here in the oil field, because, roughnecks, they're all tough and all this, and they're famous. The link between prostitution and the oil field is famous. And everybody's heard of this international oil show, Permian Basin oil show, and that goes on every 2 years. And the prostitution that goes on, they have a prostitution arrest and all that. Okay, so anyway, she's telling me where does that happen at? Well, I believe it happens in the underground facility that I was told was under this house. Okay, and so Mike happens to die the week after the 2000 oil show started, which is really interesting since it's believed this house has connections to that underground facility and probably human trafficking. I believe all of it's connected to human trafficking. There's a video there, rape and murder. And then lastly, my guess is the same people who tried to murder me, shot me in my home, ambushed and shot me, cut my phone lines, also murdered the last homeowner, Mike Lawhon. I was told a few weeks before I was ambushed and shot that the secret is a group of doctors are killing people for profit. I testified in court to being told this on 12/18/13. That was the protective order hearing. Doctors would know that Darvon's fatal, right? And this is from the court transcript. There's the FM number on it, 318th District Court, and I'm testifying. She said the secret is a group of doctors who killing people for profit. Well, what she never said the entire time we was married, that her brother-in-law was a doctor, okay? And come to find out, her brother-in-law happened to be my doctor on the night I was shot, and that's when, I've proven that the x-rays were faked and the timestamps were before they were ordered, and etc. Anyway, this Buddy Webb, Midland, Texas, I think somebody, should look at this, because if we got a medical examiner that is falsifying location of death or type of death or whatever for Mike Lawhon, and then it's probably happened to other people, and just like in Lubbock, that's a big deal.